How many of you like to feel like you're kind of in control of your future and what's going on around you, maybe just the present? Well, power and control issues can really limit your ability to transfer your farming operation to the next generation. Hi, I'm Norman A. Hood, host of the Exit Plan Show. I interview America's top advisors like Bill Circle to help business owners like you enjoy more freedom, grow your company faster, and retire someday on your own terms. Bill is the owner of Sinago in Macomb, Illinois. He has a master's degree in clinical psychology. He's a licensed clinical counselor, and he's a family business consultant. So, Bill, let's start out today by identifying what do power and control issues look like.
Okay. Before we get to what they actually look like and play out in real life, I think it's important to understand the concepts and what they mean.
Okay.
So, Norm, let's just take any generic family, got husband, wife, and a couple kids. Who would you say the most powerful person is in that family?
From experience, more than you would think, the husband appears to have the most power. In a lot of the families I've worked with, the wife has more power.
That's the second most common answer I hear. The man is usually the first most common. Second is the wife. I believe the most powerful person in that family is the newborn baby.
Oh, yeah.
Think about what happens, especially if it's the firstborn. Mm-hmm. Everyone in that, those parents and everybody changes their lives for that person, for that newborn baby. And that's how you can identify power and control.
Okay. Who
reacts to whom? The person that everyone is reacting to is the person that has all the power. They're the one in control.
Okay.
And that's why that newborn baby is so powerful. That's how you identify. They're all reacting to that baby.
Okay. Good.
Power is a capacity that we all have. Everybody has power within them. Some people don't realize it. They may not understand it, but they have it. Control is the ability to exercise that power. So think about a four-wheel drive tractor. Well, let's not use a tractor. Let's use a truck, because four-wheel drive tractor is usually engaged. When you're needing the four-wheel drive, you engage that. But when you're going down the road, you disengage it.
Right.
So that four-wheel drive is not working. And so power is the capacity, is like having the four-wheel drive. Control is engaging it and using that and having control over yourself and your environment.
Okay, good.
There are some important principles on how this operates among people.
Okay.
One of them is it's negotiated. One of my favorite one-liners is, no one has any power over you other than what you give them. And we give people power over us because we get something in return.
Right. Peace and quiet.
Could be. Sometimes the negotiations are formal. A job interview, that's a formal negotiation. I mean, we negotiate a contract. So I'm going to give you control over me, power over me for 8-10 hours a day, whatever that is in the contract, in exchange for I'm getting some money. Most people will not be doing that job if they don't get paid. So that's a formal negotiation. That's an exchange.
Okay.
An informal negotiation is we don't talk about it, but we play it out. As you described earlier, the woman being in control of the man on that operation, he's reacting to her. They probably don't sit down and have that conversation, but they negotiate that in the way they react to each other.
Or maybe don't even bring it up because they just want to avoid the reaction.
Even in that, that's part of the negotiation. The one who's avoiding is reacting to the other person and is telling the other person that they have the power.
Okay.
So it is negotiated.
So what are some common, when you talk about these issues, what are some common problems you run into that are, in a farming operation especially?
Okay. Let me real briefly share a couple more principles because they're going to apply to how they show up in a farming operation.
Okay.
Another important one is information is power. The one who has the information has the power.
Okay.
If you have information I want, that gives you control over me. Controlling behavior comes from feeling powerless. If I feel I have no power, then I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm going to grasp at whatever I can to have some sense of control, some sense of power. And the last one is we talked about with the newborn baby is helplessness is very powerful. It can really, people react to want to take care of that person. How does this show up in a farming operation? There's three ways that it can be very problematic. One is the leader is very controlling. The person that's in charge, they have to be in charge, and they're going to let everybody else know they're in charge, and they're going to keep a tight rein on that information. They're not going to negotiate very much. They may use anger. Anger is very controlling. It ends the negotiation pretty fast. They may feel that they're powerless, so they're going to grasp at whatever they can. They also may take power away from other people. When other people try to assert some power and be in control, they're going to do whatever they can to block that. So that's one way that the leader can interfere with this.
Okay.
Another way is when there's a person on the fringes or on the outside of the basic farm operation that is in control. That could be a wife of one of the people. She's actually not a part of the operation, but let's use the leader for example. So the scenario we were going to set up here is we have the father that's the leader of the family farm. A son works with him. The son's wife is a bookkeeper. So those three are involved on a day-to-day operation. But the father's wife, could be the one controlling the whole scenario because of her relationship with him, and she could be manipulating him. She could, set demands on him. He could be giving in to her, and then that impacts everybody else. So even though she's not a part of the actual operation, she could be very controlling in it.
Okay.
And the third way that it shows up, especially when you have larger families and there's multiple family members involved, is some passivity, maybe some passive aggressiveness. No one wants to step up and really take charge. We're all supposed to do this equal, so no one is taking charge. And so decisions get slid. We debate these opportunities passed, and so the decision is actually no. And that can create a lot of missed opportunities. Think about smaller application of that. Where do you want to eat tonight? I don't know. I don't care. You choose. Well, I don't really care either. You choose. And we go back and forth. We don't go out to eat. Now, put that in a farm operation where we've got $100,000 at stake here. Do we buy this one? Do we buy this one? That's a much riskier proposition, and that can have a much bigger impact, that indecision.
Well, you really hit on something that happened to me when I was younger. I got a call from a very successful farmer, huge farming operation, wanted me to come and talk to him about estate planning. So we're sitting down at the table, and I'm talking to this man and his wife, and so he gives me his input. I turn to his wife and I said, I've never told anybody this on camera before. I've never told anybody but my wife, probably. So
don't tell anybody else this.
Well, I'm not going to mention names, but this might knock you off your socks. So I got his opinion. I turned to the wife and I said, so what do you think? And he looked at me and he looked at her and he says, I make all the decisions in the family. I wear the pants in the family. She just cleans the pockets out. And I didn't know what to say. And so I kind of went through the rest of it, and I never went back because I kind of have a rule. I try to work with everybody, but I try not to work with people that I just don't like. And I felt so bad for her. She was almost in tears, and it was humiliating. So
there's a good example.
I think that's an example.
Can be so controlling that they just squash anyone that's around them.
And I know this was a very big operation. They had kids that could have taken the operation over. They scattered. There's nobody around. The kids are gone. They did something else, and which is very unusual when the kids grow up on a farm. But I look back at that and I think, That's
For exit planning, for farm transition to occur generation to generation, that leader, that person, they have to be willing to let go of some control.
okay. Let's just take that one. We've got to wrap this up. But how would you resolve that specific issue? If someone brought you into a farming operation and they had an issue like that, which is pretty severe, how would you resolve that?
Well, if we get in soon enough so that we have some time to work, we may need a formal negotiation. We just need to put words to it. Everybody needs to sit down and say, all right, this is what's happening. This is what I'm willing to do. This is what she's willing to do, so forth. And that person, each person has to be able to do some give and take. Need to open up that communication. So that man that you mentioned, he needs to listen and allow his wife or his children to speak. And they need to have some open communication. Maybe someone needs to call him out on that and point that out to him. Everybody needs a sense of control. That's a part of our human nature. We all at least want to be in control of ourselves. So it's important to find a way to do that, to give each person so they do have a sense of control. And one of the easiest ways to do that is giving choices. Well, we can do this, this, or this. You get to pick. I'm okay with any one of them. So I'm still kind of in control of the choices I give you, but you also have a sense of control because you get to choose. And it's really important to be assertive, not aggressive. My definition of assertive is probably, you're not going to read it in a dictionary anywhere, it's in my head. It's the ability to communicate my feelings, my desires, my wants in such a way that it does not destroy the relationship.
Okay.
So I share with you what I'm thinking, what I want, but it keeps our relationship going.
Okay.
So it's important to be assertive, but not aggressive. Aggressive, I get what I want at the expense of our relationship, which is what you described in that man.
Okay. It's a lot of people probably think those things, but that's the first time everyone ever heard anyone say it. So anyway, I think we're going to end on that. If you want more information about Bill's services, you can contact him. His information is on our website. And visit our website right now, take a look at the show notes, and leave a comment if you have any questions. Thanks, and we'll see you back for the next episode.